See, I hope I can get away with this. It's a beauty. And he said, "Hey, big un." You know, in Scotland they call me big un. And I'm not very big, but everybody there's awful wee, you know. But he said, "Did you hear about the guy had done his wife in and that?" And I said, "No." He said, "This guy was going out to meet his friend in the pub, and he went down. He said, 'Oh, hello, how's it going?' He said, 'Fine, fine.' He said, 'How's the wife?' He said, 'Oh, she's dead.' I said, 'What?' He says, 'Dead. Do it again. Dead. I murdered her. Forget it.' She kidding me on. I said, 'No, it's morning.' Dead. He said, 'Look, I'm not talking to you if you keep on talking like that.' He said, 'Well, please yourself. I'll show you if you want.' He said, 'Ah, show me.' So are we up to his tenement building, through the close, that's the entrance to the tenement. Into the back green, into the wash house, and sure enough, there's a big mound of earth. There's a bum sticking out of it. He says, 'Is that her?' He says, 'Aye.' He says, 'What'd you leave a bum sticking out for?' He says, 'I need somewhere to park my bike.' Back to sex.
Yes.
That scene led to bed, and there was no sort of Egyptian PTE going on. You know, they didn't. None of that. And I hate that. Sex. I've done a sex scene before, and they're rotten because the whole thing, it seems to me, is based on hiding the man's genitals and exposing as much of the woman's as you can. Seems to be the trick, because now you often hear people with dungarees and crew cuts, you know, women with chains, you know, and they'll be saying, it's because directors are men and they hate when they're misogynist. Bullshit. I'll tell you the reason. The reason is if you see the man's willy and it's flaccid, you say, "Oh, he's not shagging it at all. This is nonsense, we've been conned. Look at that thing flopping around there. This is $7. I paid it out." But if it's erect, boom, they'll say, "God, he's actually giving her one." And she's in talk shows for the rest of her life, denying it, inventing things. "Oh no, we wear a pouch on the side and we shoot it from there." He's banging away at the pouch and I'm... And this woman I'm supposed to be making love to, she's kneeling on the bed. You get the picture, right? She's kneeling there, right? Whoa, you get my drift, right? So, whoa, throw the dog a bone. So, a director comes over, because, you know, when you're doing this kind of thing, it's because, you know, sex is an animal act. And the British just get it wrong all the time. Because you take the manners of the dining room into the bedroom. You can't do that, except for foreplay. It's good to remember to start at the outside and work it. You know... You don't go straight for the money. Hi, what's your sign? But when he came to do...
I've only asked one question.
But when we came to do the bed scene, where sex was supposed to be finished. But by that time, she had kind of fallen out with me. A wee bit, not serious. She was in a bad mood, and she kind of deserved to be too. I mean, it was through no fault of her own that some things had gone a bit adrift. And so she was kind of not talking to me. And the director says, "How do you feel about this scene?" I said, "I'm fine." He said, "You don't mind being in a bed with a woman who's not talking to you?" I said, "I've been married for a long time."
Ali. The third is Ali, the political activist. It's Ali with the Black Muslim movement. And Ali upset at a moment in a show, a one-man show I did with him, where I had a book where Ali was saying he hated all white men. And this book, written by Butch Schulberg, I just read a passage from it saying that of all the men Schulberg knew, that Ali was the one who actually had the most white friends. Ali went berserk at this, and then I said, I got the book like this. I wasn't going to ask him to read it because I knew he was semi-literate. I knew at best he would struggle to do that. I wasn't going to challenge him, but he thought that, so away he went. And I was opposite 17 stone, a very angry heavyweight champion. And the last clip of all is in many ways the beginning of the end for Ali. He had one more fight after this clip, and you find that very difficult to believe when you see the clip. It was done in 1982, 12 years after I first interviewed him. And it's Ali on the decline. You can see in his eyes that sort of...
I'm down to 210. I'm moving like I should move. I'm no longer playing. I'm boxing. This man comes in. Anybody can hit him. All his sparring partners are ramming him every day, and they are nothing to me. No class, no footwork, no speed. When I get those little bitty gloves on and be real serious and no playing, no standing
what they're gonna put on me.
Just sticking and moving. All he's got is some hooks, and they
What kind of gloves I'm gonna have?
That he can't stop me.
What kind of glove I'm
Nobody
gonna have
stops
on?
me. Last
You
fight,
answer that.
Man's
What
asking
kind of
you a
glove I'm
question.
gonna have on?
You have on the same
You
gloves
gonna have
you had
on a
last
little
time.
glove. What they gonna put on
You
me?
got on the same thing on last time.
Sledgehammer or something?
Man, that sounds silly. That's
Same
another
thing.
crazy question. Everybody know he's gonna have on gloves like
All
me.
right, then, but why
He's
you
talking
make a
like that's
statement like
another
that?
point.
Can I ask you a question?
What am I gonna have? Okay, you prove it.
you
You
make-
have
you
on
said-
gloves like
you
me.
said it was something
We
different.
always have on the
Right.
same.
All
Well,
right,
we can just
then.
get on now. We ain't gotta be.
You'll hurt your hand or something. You will. You can hurt yourself.
We ain't gotta be.
Get in there, Michael. Get. You're coming very close. Watch it. Watch it.
He on there. It ain't no way you can tackle me.
And you've seen what can happen to fighters. You've seen those shambling wrecks that go around. You see them at every boxing occasion. And what people are frightened of is they don't want that to happen to you.
What? Be a shambling wreck?
That's right, yeah.
I'm a long ways from being a shambling
Oh, I'm not suggesting you are now. I'm saying that's what they're frightened that might happen.
Well, let me tell you why they're frightened. Some people can see farther than others. Some people are impressed with limitations. We all live in our own world of limitations. Some people can see farther than others. So therefore, when people judge what I'm doing with their logic, it can't be done. Their reasoning says it can't or shouldn't be done. Their knowledge of history says it can't be done. So their reasoning, their knowledge, and their logic clashes with my superior belief. Therefore, the result is they don't believe.
But you know why they say that. I mean, it's for the best possible reasons, though.
They fear and they are wary. It looks dangerous to them.
That's
but it's
right.
not really that dangerous to me.
Yeah, and it's the
Just another day.
And it's the affection they have for you. They've never felt about another boxer like they felt about you.
Oh, that's so nice.
There we go. Round four.
Hero, my great dream. Not Bogey the gangster, but Bogey the journo. Bogey with the press thing in his hat. So at the age of 16, I got a job in a local paper. You could do that in those days. You could walk in and say, I want to be a journalist, and get a job at a T-boy, work your way through. And I ended up cycling around a nest of pit villages, 25 miles a day, collecting all the minutiae of village life. And it was fun, but it wasn't glamorous. It wasn't like Bogey. So I decided to glamour it up a bit. I'm now 16, 17, right? And I find in Barnsley, and I can't tell you how difficult it was, a Bogey hat, right? So I put the Bogey hat on. Now, I'm 16. I can get away with it now. I could do play it again, Sam. But, I mean, in those days, 16, I was as thin as that, you know. I looked a real twerp. Cycle around. Now, what I discovered, though, this wasn't a perfect plan, because the hat came off on my bike. It flew off. So I decided, this is how mad I was, to invent a chin strap for a trilby. What I did was, but I stuck to my guns because I really desperately wanted not to lose the look. So I invented a trilby with a knicker elastic chin strap. Now, if you thought I looked daft before, look at this. Okay? Going downhill like that. I'm thus attired. I would knock on people's doors and say, I'm from there. Go, ah! I mean, I was mad. I was 16, 17, and absolutely besotted with the notion of being bogey and a journalist. And one day, I went to a house, having got off my bike, and I got the old Mac on and I got this on. The thing we didn't like doing was we didn't like obituaries. You know, going to people's houses when somebody had died, you had to get a picture of them and you had to do a report on them. We didn't like that job. Most of all was the job when you had to actually go and tell somebody that, or not tell them, but collect the details of somebody who'd been killed in an accident. So I knock on the door of this house, this terrace house in Royston, and this woman came to the door, looked like my mother, and she said, hello, love, and I said, I'm from the local paper. She said, oh, yes. She said, well, come inside. So I get inside, and she said, what can I do for you? I said, I've come about your John. Oh, she said, what's he been up to? I thought, oh, my God, she doesn't know. So I said, well, I think there might have been an accident, at which point she understood, I think, something terrible happened. She turned and said, oh, I'll make a cup of tea. And as she turned to go, I fled the house. And I went next door, and I knocked on the door, and I said to the woman there, I said, look, this is what's happened. Will you go and tell her? And she did. She said to me, she said, you're far too young lad, for a job like that. She said, I'll do it. She was right. As I walked past the house, I could hear the woman crying inside. So I went home, and I went to bed, and I stayed in bed for a day. I took all the gear off and shoved it on one side, and I never wore it again. The most strange thing was that 24 hours later, when I got out of bed, I'd changed in the sense that, you know, I'd understood. I'd moved from a masquerade, from a world of disguise into the real world. I mean, it changed me, changed the way I looked, changed my attitude to my job. But I still remain ambitious to move on, to become Humphrey Bogart, really, super journal. And I went to the editor one day, about a year from going to the National Service. And I said to him, listen, I said, before I go into the National Service, I said, can you just try to get my name in the paper? Never had a byline. Couldn't get bylines in those days. He said, well, if you go to this job at Barnsley on Sunday, he said, I'll give you a byline. I said, what's so special about this job in Barnsley on Sunday? He said, it's Barnsley's greatest society wedding. Now, that's an oxymoron. I mean, a society wedding in Barnsley. Anyway, we went there, and all you have to do is collect the names, get the names right, 400 names, get them right, 400 people buy the local paper, economics of a local paper. So I did it. Sat down there, wrote it all out, sent it off. Friday morning, pick it off the letterbox, the local paper, there. On the front page, very first time in my life, Barnsley's greatest society wedding by Michael Parkinson. First time I'd ever seen my name in print. A huge, huge thrill. And everything was exactly as I'd written it all the way through until I came to the last paragraph, which read, at the end of a happy ceremony, the blissful couple exchanged presents. The bride presented the groom with a pair of cufflinks. The groom presented the bride with an electric cock. Now, this is the 50s. They weren't invented then, I don't think. Whenever I tell that story to journalists, yeah, sure. Well, all right, in the style book of the paper to this very day is a memo the editor sent round after that terrible mistake, saying in future all clocks, electric or otherwise, be referred to as timepieces. Because I didn't play cricket for a living, being a Yorkshireman. And just before he died, he said to me, you had a good life, lad? I said, yeah, I've been a very good life, Dad. He used to come to every show. The women, you love the women, they're sexy, but he said, and you sat next to some beautiful women. I said, I have, Dad. He said, it's been a very interesting life. I said, yes. He said, most importantly, I've always said, he said, you made a lot of money without breaking sweat. I said, that is true, too. He said, think on, though, he said, it's not like playing cricket for Yorkshire, is it? And, of course, what was defining was that difference between the baggy green, the white rose of Yorkshire, the immortality and fame. There's a difference, and he understood that. I didn't. My mother was unreservedly, she lived a life of unreserved joy, going and meeting all these people who stepped down from the silver screen. There's Fred Astaire's and the James Cagney. She met them all and she loved them. And the man she particularly adored was Bing Crosby. I sang a song with Bing Crosby. My mother used to go around after that saying things like, my lad sang with Bing Crosby. I always thought it'd make a wonderful title for a book, as well as being a definition of chutzpah.
May I have the pleasure of your company? Won't you join me in this catchy little song?
If I can have the pleasure of your company,
Sweet, sweet.
I'll stay on key and try to sing along.
You're doing great. Old pal, old boy, it's such a joy. This band has now become your toy.
But vocally, I'm all at sea. Rescue me.
I'll help you, Dad. So may I have
The pleasure
of your company?